A lot of it falls on the shoulders of Roger Goodell. This man cannot continue to be in office. And you say we have no power as fans? I fundamentally disagree with that. Hey Trash Talkers, over 85% of you are still not subscribed to the channel. Please be sure to hit that red subscribe button and turn on notifications, as it will help us create more daily content for you. Thank you and enjoy today's video. All right, Nick, the news broke just yesterday that Brian Flores was suing not only the NFL, but the Denver Broncos, the New York Giants, and also named that Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, incentivized the fact that he should lose football games to help their draft stock. That was back in 2019, his first year as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. There is a time to set a precedent, and the time is now. With Brian Flores, coming out and talking about Stephen Ross and everything that happened in Miami, Chris Greer needs to come in and back him up, because he was the one who was relaying the messages between Stephen Ross and Brian Flores. He is caught up in all of this, yet we haven't heard a single thing. It is time for him to come out of his shell and start doing what is right. We saw Hue Jackson, who is currently unemployed, but also seeking employment. We saw him come out and back Brian Flores and say, it doesn't matter if I don't coach again. This is what happened to me as well, and this cannot continue to happen throughout the NFL. This is a very, very just absolutely insane situation that we're seeing. These owners are trying to tank their seasons for better draft picks, and I understand that that's the competitive side of this, is, tanking is a real thing in sports, but the fact remains that ownership cannot be involved in that decision making. They cannot be incentivizing tanking for their teams, because every player has a contract. Every player is looked at based on the play they put out on the field, and if they're not being put in the primary position to win, that's not only negatively affecting their play on the field, but that's negatively affecting their financial situation as they look for other contracts, as they look to go on to other teams. Maybe they don't get to play for another team or for another contract again because their team was tanking. There are so many avenues to go down this way. It is just absolutely insane to think that owners are tanking the season because they want better draft picks, and they're making their head coaches the scapegoats in doing so. I want to talk a little bit, though, Nick, about the Rooney Rule. And I know, with everything that's gone on, this has obviously been a hot button issue, but the Rooney Rule clearly has not worked in the NFL. I have said this for years now, and I'm sure you can attest to this, but back in 2003, when the Rooney Rule was brought into place in the NFL by Art Rooney, the owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers, his intent was to incentivize teams to not only interview, but also to hire minority coaches. While the premise is sound and I understand what he was going for, the fact remains that teams were being incentivized by getting compensatory draft picks for hiring minority head coaches. They are forced to interview at least 2 minorities for the head coaching position anytime that position becomes available. These were not true interviews. These were not the opportunities that are supposed to be given to people. And we see that now with the Denver Broncos and with the New York Giants, the way they were able to fill their positions, they had their person in mind. They just had to check a couple of boxes. And back in 2003, when this rule got put into place, there were 3 minority head coaches in the NFL. 19 years later, there's 1 black head coach and 2 other minority head coaches. We have not seen change. It's been stagnant. There are 3 minority head coaches 19 years later. This is an epic fail for not only the NFL, but for the Rooney Rule itself. This needs to completely change the landscape of the way the business is done in the NFL, and a lot of it falls on the shoulders of Roger Goodell. This man cannot continue to be in office. And you say we have no power as fans? I fundamentally disagree with that. our vote and our voice is the one that powers the NFL. If we stop going to NFL football games based on all of this, if we stop buying those tickets and stop buying concessions at these stadiums, they're going to feel it in their pockets, and then real change will happen. I understand it's a long shot, but we do have the power. It's just about coming together to get it done.
It's possible for us to make change, but it's going to be extremely tough because you have too many people that you need to get on the same page, and I just don't think that's realistic. What's realistic is for the players to now stand up, for executives, for coaches that are on existing teams to step up and say, we're not going to stand for this, there needs to be change. Bill Belichick and Mike Tomlin and all these big veteran head coaches, all these big players like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, I know he just retired, but these big voices can step up and really make a difference. People will listen to them. People at the highest of levels will listen to these voices, not ours. They have to be the ones to step up. We can only make the suggestion. They have to be the ones to take action. That is unfortunately not our job to do, and nothing we can do else besides what we're doing right now. We also need to look back. Fixing of games, we cannot overlook this. This is too big of an issue because we're talking about something that is word for word completely against the letter of the law. This is something that people go to jail for years for. So why is Stephen Ross, why is Jimmy Haslam not going to go to jail? It's because they're billionaires. This is such a big problem. They're offering 6-figure deals per game to lose, to tank, to get a better draft pick. This is just costing people their money, their jobs, their lives. People invest so much into betting, into gambling, and they are being just, they have no shot. They just truly have no real shot at a fair shake, at a fair game, when the owner of the team is deciding the fate of how that game is going to play out. And all those people are negatively affected. The owner ends up getting what he wants, and it seems like we're all just going to accept that. We cannot accept this. This is a big problem because it doesn't just stop with these two. We know it goes further. The NFL must take action right now. They must investigate this as far as they've investigated everything else. They want to put millions of dollars into investigating a deflated football. How about you put tens of millions of dollars, an entire team of investigators to go and do a deep dive into each one of these organizations, because that's exactly what needs to be done, because there's a lot more than fixing game that's going on, that's illegal going on in these teams. If they're willing to fix games and they're willing to let other people in on what's going on besides who the coach is or the general manager, there's witnesses from all over these organizations that be like, yeah, we knew it was going on. We heard the rumors that Stephen Ross reached out to the head coach saying, I'll give you $100,000 if you tank this game. That's happening. People are listening. Everybody who hears something must say something, because it's all part of this old thinking, this old owner billionaire thinking that says we are at the top, we can do whatever the hell we want and get away with it. It's happening in different areas with head coaching hires, with tanking for better draft picks. This all is happening because these guys feel like they are untouchable. They are touchable. They can be removed from their power. We saw it in the NBA with the Los Angeles Clippers. It can happen here too. It's time for someone to be made example of. We've got two great examples with the Miami Dolphins and the Cleveland Browns. Why are we not taking immediate action?
I agree with you. I think immediate action needs to be taken. The only part I disagree with is that the NFL needs to invest in an investigation. I don't trust them. You know why? Because Roger Goodell works for the owners, and he will not investigate the people he's supposedly representing. He's an attorney. I mean, that is his base construct. He is an attorney at heart, and then he is commissioner of the NFL, and that is going to preclude him from being able to adequately investigate not only the Miami Dolphins and Cleveland Browns, but the entire NFL. I understand that we're all fans, but every single team, all 32 teams, need to be investigated for all of these issues that we're seeing pour out right now, for lack of using the Rooney Rule to hire minority coaches, for tanking football games, for defrauding the fans and people who are using sports betting to make a career. I mean, there are so many issues at hand here that we have to lay into. We need the SEC to come in and really take a deep dive investigation into what the hell is going on. This is way past Roger Goodell. This is way past the office of the NFL. This is now in the hands of the U.S. justice system. This has to be taken seriously by everybody that we pay their salary for in our government. There needs to be an investigation, and I need to see these owners in front of Congress answering questions that could end up making these billionaires go to prison. We need to instill the fear of God in these owners so they understand they are no longer untouchable, that the confines of the United States government will come for them if they chose to defraud the fans, the players, and everyone else who chooses to pay for their teams and their brands. There is so much on the line here. We need everybody to come together and do the right thing. We need to see an investigation come from the government. I do not trust Roger Goodell, and I need to see some of these owners absolutely shaking in their boots. I want to hear from you guys. We've done a lot of talking today. I want to hear from you. Let us know what you think of Brian Flores bringing this lawsuit against the NFL, the Denver Broncos, the New York Giants. What do you think about his allegations that Stephen Ross offered him $100,000 per loss in 2019, and Hue Jackson saying the same thing in Cleveland? Let us know what you think below. I'm truly curious. I want to hear you guys' thoughts, and let us know if you think that the Rooney Rule needs to be changed. I'm really curious about that, so let us know in the comments down below. All right, well, that's going to be all for now. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.